Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 174.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right, and welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Massey, and I'm glad that you are here gaining new skill sets, talents, and man, are we going to help you with that today. Now, some of you, if this is your first episode, forgive me. I'm just going to be very, very blunt. Most of you out there, especially if you consider yourself a real estate investor, I'm going to say something that you probably won't like, and it's really not my problem. Here's the truth. Most of us, when we first start, we are horrible marketers. We have no clue on how to find the sellers, get the people to our websites, talk to the individuals in such a way as if they actually want to deal and do business with us. If you are willing to face that statement, I promise you, I've got a guest today who can help you get past that because he's done that for company and person after person. In fact, some people even call him their secret weapon. You got to understand. The secret weapon. You always wonder, how can that guy be everywhere? How can this person know how to do real estate so well and do their business so well and yet always convert customers and always be able to just know exactly what I want and give it to me at the right time? You need a secret weapon. And today we're going to introduce you to someone who I believe is going to become your secret weapon as well. He's actually the first person to come on the podcast twice. So that should tell you something right there. He's none other than Adam Hommey. He is the founder of the Business Creators Institute. And that's the thing that we're here to do, guys, is create some cash flow, make things happen. You got to understand, have you ever known anyone who's been willing to share with you how he was able to lead a product launch that grossed $60,000 and netted 89 new coaching clients in one afternoon? What would happen if you got 89 new sellers? Just that quickly. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Here's my point. The individual you're about to hear, yes, again, is here because he's going to help you take it to that next level to make sure that you can get more deals done in a shorter period of time using something that you probably don't use very well right now. Help me welcome Adam Hommey. Adam, you there?
Jay, thank you so much for inviting me back here. When we were on your show last year, it was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had in the world of podcasting. And I can tell you, I was almost jumping out of my chair when I was offered the opportunity to come back. And while you're doing that introduction, all I have to say is I'm flattered and I'm humbled, and I'd like to meet this guy you described because he sounds pretty cool.
Well, we can't talk about him because he's a secret weapon. So, you know, if we'd have to shoot you. Now, for those who weren't here last time, and most importantly, I got to ask you anyway. We all know that I look at today's entrepreneurs a lot like yesterday's superheroes, and we're out there gaining new skill sets, helping people with our secret, our secret skill sets, our utility belts, making their lives better. That's what entrepreneurs and superheroes do. However, we all start somewhere. We all have that beginning. Now, before you were, many people's secret weapon, what we'd really like to know is not only who is Adam Hommey, but what have you been up to since the last time we talked?
All right. So since the last time we spoke, which was right around this time last year in 2014, unbelievably, it's been almost a year already. I've moved to a nicer place. I'm still here in Las Vegas. My cats have grown. They now give me a hard time all the time. In fact, Sandra I'm trying to keep her away from the keyboard right here so she doesn't disconnect. Somehow, she knows the button pushed on my keyboard that disconnects. I can't find it, but she can. I mean, she's just amazingly intelligent that way. And what we've done with Help My Website Sell is we have launched our new website, Help My Website Sell 4.0, and we've also really niched down into helping people with their product, service, and book launches, because we find that people put up their websites and it's like, okay, I got a website, now what? This is one of the biggest challenges that we've seen through time, is people will invest all kinds of time and all kinds of money into getting up their Leviathan, mega, super duper, incredible mothership, mother of all websites.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, so why aren't we making any money? And what this unfortunately often translates into is this statement, which I think many of your listeners will have heard before, and some way have even said, which is, I just spent $15,000 having my website built, and I haven't gotten any customers. My web designer ripped me off.
Okay.
Now, in a few cases, it's possible that happened. But
Right.
what I saw in my experience a lot of times was simply looking at the website as a goal rather than as a tool. So they think, okay, well, I built this $15,000 website. Now the customers are magically going to appear. And I'm here saying, did you check on that before you put in the $15,000? Because I personally would rather know that I have a $15,000 idea before I spend $15,000 on it. I'd rather know I have a $100,000 idea before I spend $15,000 on it. We helped one client in particular. We led them through the launch of an event, which they sold all 50 seats at, and through a successful product launch using the revenues from selling the videos that were taken at that event before they even had a website around their new business, because we wanted them to go out there and test their idea and then have their customers pay for the website. So up until then, they had a sales page for the event, like a sales letter page, and then they had another one for the footage, which is very similar to it. But only after they capitalized those two things did they put down, and I think it was something like $3,000 to build the mothership website for their new brand.
Got it. Yeah, hold on.
It is possible to do that. You are allowed.
I believe you. I believe you. Right now, I just you probably, man, you just heard a whole bunch of people. They're like, yeah, what do you mean my website? Oh, I was supposed to do something else first? Because that's exactly. It wouldn't be so. Well, it's funny now. It wasn't funny when it happened. I did the exact same thing. Just
right.
I did.
As did I. So we've all been there.
And that's the thing. Here's what we know. We know, hey, I want more deals, because that's what I hear a lot. Jay, how can I get more deals? Or how can I get more buyers? Or how can I get more sellers? How can I get more of these people to my website? Isn't that what I need? And I'm like, okay, guys, there's a system, there's a process, there's a way to make these things happen. And I know for myself, we've definitely gone through many dark roads and alleys and met with all the people in the chop shops in the back trying to figure out how to get this thing to work. But we make a ton of common mistakes that I think are very, very common when it comes to marketing. So let me ask you this. When I'm looking at, so let's pretend for a second, Adam, I'm the guy, I know, maybe I understand how to, begin to write some offers and do some things, but what if I was coming to you, if I was coming to anybody and just thinking about the fact I got to have a website, what is the question I should be asking versus the question you normally get?
Okay, when I show up in Facebook discussion groups, and it's so funny that you recently interviewed for my Business Creators Radio show, and then not 2 minutes later, I log on to Facebook because I was between interviews and I just wanted to check in on some things. I see I got an alert, and it's you inside one of the groups I belong to saying, "Hi, Adam," saying, "Oh, come on, Jay, you're just on for an hour and you're going to do a sneak attack on this." So yeah. I typed in something like, "Hey, Jay, long time no see. How's things?"
Yeah, right.
So whenever you're in these discussion groups on LinkedIn and on Facebook, and when you're on the Warrior Forum and you're looking at the offers and you're getting all the guru emails, they're all telling you all these quick, easy, push button, don't think about it, just do it and go on with your life ways to drive traffic to your website. And I got to tell you that if I had to rely on traffic to my website to grow my business, I would shut down my business, because the last thing I want is traffic to my website. Now, when I say that, when I'm standing in front of a room full of people and I say the last thing you want is traffic to your website, I have had jaws drop to the floor. I've had people give that, that thing where you kind of wave your hand downward and say, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Get off the stage and let's get the experts up here and all that. So what I'll do is I'll kind of pause while I have the people in the room looking at me. And there's a certain level of uncertainty that rises, and they're saying, what? I don't want traffic to my website? I mean, it's like Adam, I understand that, they say that you know what you're talking about, but if you ever actually done online marketing. And so I let that kind of brew in their minds for a moment, just sort of let them set up the pin so I can, get up to the alley and roll the ball downwards and hit a strike. And what I tell them is, no, I do not want traffic to my website. What I want are visitors to my web pages. Let me break this down for you. When I think of traffic, I think of the reason, other than my cats, why I work out of a home office. Because traffic is that thing where you have a whole bunch of people being shoved into a single line. There's usually not enough bandwidth to accommodate them all. They don't necessarily even know. Even if they know where they're going, they don't necessarily know why. And by the time they get there, they're disoriented, they're defeated, and they already feel like they may have wasted their time. That's what I think of when I think of traffic. However, when I think of visitors, I think of what we welcome. I think of what we go out and seek. And as far as the word website, well, let me ask you, what do you mean by website? Do you mean is that a landing page? Is that a sales page? Is that a blog? Is that an about page? Is that a products page? Is that an event page? Is that a webinar page? Is that a podcast page? I could go on and on and on and on and on. Each one of those things that I said and more can be a website, and a website can consist of all of those things.
Yep.
So I'm thinking differently. While others are saying traffic to your website, I'm saying visitors to your web page. And I want visitors who fall within what I like to call the 3 Ps of website conversions. I want visitors that are pre-qualified, which means they're quality, they're well-sourced, I'm speaking to the right people that I want to draw to my web page. They're prepped, the second P. Pre-qualified, prepped is the second one, which means I've let them know what to expect and given them an idea of the value they'll receive when they arrive at my webpage, whether that's they're going to download a free gift or they're going to learn about my event or my product or read my blog post or whatever it is, or listen to my podcast interview with Jay Massey. There's a lot of reasons they could be prepped. So I got them all excited because Jay Massey's going to be on the Business Creators Radio Show. Woohoo!
Yes.
So they're qualified and they're prepped. Now I got them pumped, which means they're on the edge of their seat while the web page loads. I mean, super quick, I hope, because I hope that you have your web page speeds optimized, because that can make a big difference in your conversions, so they can get what they've been promised. So if they have been told that the recording of my interview with Jay Massey is now on the Business Creators Radio Show, I want them pre-qualified so the people who are going to gain from it, prep so they know what they're getting, and pump so that when they click that link, whether it's in the email or the social media status update or whatever it is, and they're just waiting for that page to open so they can see the play button, hit play. Pre-qualified, prepped, and pumped visitors to my web pages. That's what I want.
Well, you're running a very thin line here. A lot of what you're saying sounds like that the work begins once the page is up. I mean, because it sounds like I've got to do more than just get a page put together, because now you're telling me I have to do certain things in order to have the right person be on that page.
Okay, that's very interesting, and I thank you for bringing that up. And what I want to introduce your listeners to is what I call the website conversion conversation. And this isn't necessarily the answer to your question, but we'll get there. Just give me about 90 seconds of latitude to get us there.
No problem.
So the website conversion conversation is where you help your fans, followers, visitors, and prospects get to know you so they find their reasons to like you. And then they will be more likely to trust you enough to consider hiring you. Have you ever heard of that phrase, know, like, and trust?
Yes, at least once.
I think once in the past hour, you've probably had somebody tell you how you have more know, like, and trust in your business. And I'm willing to bet that on the Cash Flow Diary podcast, I bet you probably had 15 other guests who have told your audience that they must build know, like, and trust.
Probably.
So if I go out there talking about know, like, and trust, I'm just another guy talking about know, like, and trust. So what I've done is I've created this concept called the website conversion conversation, which is the process of building know, like, and trust. So when you find yourself in a market, and some of your listeners who may be realtors, some who may be online marketers who teach courses on how to drive traffic to your website or whatever it is, they're going to go out in that field and they're going to find it's a very crowded playing field. And they're just another person saying traffic to your website or selling a house or how to maximize your social media strategy. So what you do is you take the concept, you give it a name, and then you position yourself just off and upwards of the mainstream. And now you've created a new market. You've created a new center of influence that will draw visitors toward you. So others talk about know, like, and trust. I talk about the website conversion conversation. That thing that I called the 3 Ps of website conversions. Well, that's just sourcing.
Huh.
So I just give things different names, and I encourage everybody to think of that as well. So in terms of where this brings things back into line, so we don't necessarily have to worry about, well, we have to build the website and they will come, or we can't go out with source people. You can very quickly put up a web page. You can install WordPress, buy Optimized Press, which is the most common theme for this, and put up a page that announces that next Thursday at 2:00, you are going to be hosting a webinar where you're going to teach this, this, and this. And you can bring visitors to that, and you can start doing list building. You can try different offers like this, see which ones perform the best. You don't necessarily have to go through that whole process of building a website or investing in your $15,000 dream. You can try different webinars. You can try different downloads. You could put together maybe a 3-page PDF that reveals the 7 reasons why, or the 7 steps to whatever it is you do in your market, and then attract visitors to that and see how well you convert on that, see how many people opt in, see how much enthusiasm it builds. And once you start to get a trend of what works well, then you have an idea of where to focus your business, so you know who you're pre-qualifying, prepping, and pumping. Or if you notice that you seem to be getting the response to the things you really don't want response to, then that tells you that either your positioning or your market is off.
Yeah. You got that right.
Right. So you take some of these steps before you invest in your $15,000 dream, then your $15,000 dream becomes your $100,000 reality.
Right. And the interesting thing is that the conversation is always around this. What you're speaking about is never this. It's often, okay, Jay, or which tool should I use? And should I be on Facebook or Instagram or
right.
LinkedIn? And I'm like, you're missing a really, really, really big point. So I guess the question then becomes, Adam, if I was to be crazy enough to actually attempt this on my own in some way, shape, or form, what am I in for? And just be real. Tell us what it really takes to get one. I'm gonna use the correct word here: visitor to my page that is pre-qualified, prepped, and pumped, and how much effort is required.
That's going to take you approximately 3 years, 7 months, 28 days, 19 minutes, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you're looking at an average investment of $42,318.69.
Cool. Sold.
All right. Okay. So you got the money. That's cool. All right. So I've pre-qualified, prepped, and pumped you. That's good. So I've achieved the conversion. There we go. Now, seriously, one. Hey, sometimes one is all you need. It depends on your market, the size of your market, and the average value of your customer. I mean, if you're like, for instance, if you're selling a $2,000 course, you don't need to sell nearly as many $2,000 courses as you need to sell $9 ebooks to achieve the same revenue goal. In fact, it's probably lucrative for you to do it that way. Now, that being said, I can't really tell you one answer to that, because
oh, come on. I was trying to put you in a corner and give the answer that everybody's gonna ask.
Right. A lot of folks will come to me. In fact, there was somebody who hit my doorstep a couple years ago. Extremely well-known person in the direct response copywriting industry. I'm not going to give the name because I try and respect confidentiality wherever I can. And I'll tell you the reason why I'm not giving the person's name or even their gender is because they came to me and they said, I've spoken with 13 other website conversion people who I'm just looking for that one thing. that one answer that's going to do it for me once and for all. And they all say you got to split test it. So come on, Adam, what's the answer? And I say, well, the answer is those 13 people are right. Because what works for Jay Massey may not work for Adam Hommey and vice versa. However, the first thing you need to do when you're uncertain, this is one of my mentors, Ross Jeffries, teaches all the time in his persuasion marketing, is when you're uncertain what to do next, take a bold step forward. So by a bold step forward, decide what it is you want to build a movement around, what you want to build a brand around, maybe a topic you want to build a course around, and host a webinar or a teleseminar, something you can do relatively simply around that topic, and get people to sign up for it and find out how well that works. If you have a mailing list already, send this opportunity to the mailing list and see what percentage of them respond. Who opens the emails, who clicks through, and who signs up. If you have social media, let some of your social media friends know that this is available. See what kind of response you get. I tell you another thing that you can do very fast and furious is get yourself interviewed on podcasts. Jay, you and I both host podcasts. You have the Cash Flow Diary radio show. I have the Business Creators radio show. And is it fair to say that there's no such thing as too many people knocking at our door wanting to be guests?
yeah.
Trust me. And this is advice I give every client who asks questions like that, which is, well, how do I get more attention to my website? And I say, well, your web page or your website? And they say, ha, Adam, I get it. Okay. So I say, find a way to get booked on podcasts. You can reach out to the hosts on LinkedIn. You can sometimes go to their website and say, hey, I love your podcast. What do I need to do to get on? You would be amazed how easy it is when you show some level of credibility, which often takes the form of being able to properly entertain and educate the audience. So when I do things, I like to have some fun with it. So I talk about why the last thing you need is traffic to your website, the 3 Ps of website conversions. I somehow work my cats into every episode. I don't know how I do it, but I pull it off. But so you have some fun around what you're doing, and you show that you have some knowledge, and you give people something they can use, and that's going to lead them coming to your webpage. Another thing I really strongly suggest you do is they have these things on LinkedIn and Facebook that are called discussion groups. Find some discussion groups around your topic and get into those discussion groups. And be a person, not in there promoting your stuff, but be a person who helps. People have questions, you have answers. And when you start showing your brilliance, they on their own are going to say, well, who the hell is this Jay Massey guy who's all of a sudden here, seems to know all this stuff? And boy, is he brilliant. What rock have I been under that I haven't heard of this guy? So naturally, they're going to go checking you out. They're going to look at your profiles. They're going to do a Google search on you, which is going to pull up your web pages. They're going to start looking at those and say, oh, Cashflow Diary podcast. Maybe I'll listen to an episode. Oh, he's got a special report. Let me see what's up with that. He sounds so good in these discussion groups. I heard him on the podcast. He sounded brilliant. Let me just check this guy out, see what he has to offer. Oh, Jay Massey has a book. Awesome. Well, I'll buy that book. That's how you do it.
Yep. That, I mean, I don't even think people are realizing right now that you're giving away all the super secrets. But that's okay. That's okay.
Not all of them, but let me put it this way. I would like people to have more super secrets than others may give away because, and again, this is how I want you as a listener to think as a business owner. The more you give away that enables them to make money, the more they will be able to turn around and give you money. You're right. Creating reciprocity and you're building your future customers.
Exactly. So, let's talk the money conversation, because what happens is, after a while you start to build some, I won't use the word traffic, visitors. You start to build some visitors to your pages, and they're coming. But yet, I've also heard of the stories of people who have hundreds, tens of thousands of visitors on a monthly basis to their pages, but they're still not earning any money. That could be the concern of more than one individual, especially in the real estate space, is because, it's not exactly a normal thing to just click on a link and say, hey, all right, I'm ready to buy a house over or buy your deal or invest in your project. I mean, but these are all technologies that especially us as real estate investors need to become way more familiar with. So how do we get them to actually take that step other than just be there? What did we need to do to make that happen?
Okay, let me address this in a slightly different way, and I'm going to go to a market that's parallel to what you just mentioned here. So as you know, because you and I are friends and we've spoken about this, 2 years ago, I made the decision I was going to move from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, I'd been to Las Vegas for business conferences, and a few years ago, a buddy of mine had a bachelor party here, but that's not the same as knowing Las Vegas. I mean, I still didn't know much about the culture. I didn't know what there was to do. What are the nice areas of town? What are the not so nice areas of town? If I'm looking at renting something or buying something or leasing something, I mean, what price range is really within the pale, and where am I getting ripped off, or where is it too good to be true? There are a lot of things I didn't know, like what are some of the local attractions? What is there to do? Where is there to eat? What can I look for in terms of prices? I could go on and on and on. Having made the decision to move to a town, but not really knowing a lot of the logistics. And so let's say I'm going to move to Las Vegas, but rather than try and buy a house long distance, I'm going to find me a nice apartment or townhouse. I'm going to do a 1 year on it, and then that gives me time to land, get settled in, and make a decision with time to actually research it.
Okay, so, hold on.
Yep.
I got to pull I don't want any, especially the real estate people. I need you to hear that. He just told you. So remember, pre-qualified, prepped, and pumped. What he just described is a very key market right there. If if you're dealing with vacancy, you shouldn't any longer, because he just laid out for you one specific customer type that is right there in every marketplace, everywhere right now. But by all means, keep going, Adam. Yeah, just when you thought you were going to hear Adam, you're hearing me again. I know, kind of fun. Anyway, remember, star rate and review so that you can be entered for next week's drawing. It looks like we're going to be giving away yet another cash flow board game. So if you want an opportunity to win one, go over to iTunes, enter star rate and review the podcast. Make sure you leave your username so that when I announce your username, you can let us know that you're the winner by emailing in. Anyway, I've got something free for you today. I want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to learn how to get started in real estate. So if you haven't started a deal and you were looking for those magic words, what am I going to say when I go to a networking event? And I'm going to share with you the 10 words that have helped me close literally tens of millions of dollars worth of real estate transactions here in the U.S. So all you got to do is go over to cashflowdiary.com/10 words. Again, that's cashflowdiary.com/10 words. And I'm going to share with you those 10 words, more importantly, how to use them so that you can go out there and literally begin to find some investors today. Find some deals today. Find a property to buy today. If you are brave enough to use them, go over to cashflowdiary.com/10 words. That's 10 WORDS. And I'll let you in on what has been one of the best kept secrets on the planet for many of our own members, the 10 words that make it happen. Now, let's get back to Adam.
I was coming to Las Vegas for business opportunity and because I was done with blizzards. those were the two things. I was done with blizzards, I was done with overcast weather, and I was done with having to fly to Los Angeles and San Diego, which are two cities that I love and visit several times a year. That's what brought me to Las Vegas. Plus, Pittsburgh is not really a hub of online marketing activity. Las Vegas is. So Las Vegas was the place. I had already decided that I'm going to make this work somehow. So I have all these other questions. So if I were in a realtor space, and I'm just thinking about a website critique I did for a realtor once, I'd be looking at what do people need from this experience. So they need a place to live, obviously, but they also need to know where are some of the top restaurants. What are the top 10 things that you don't know about Las Vegas that you will not discover until you already move here? Like a big one for Las Vegas is if you buy anything or you lease anything other than an apartment, you are extremely likely to find yourself in the middle of HOA hell. So you want to know what are the cool HOAs that aren't going to like run you through the ringer the first time you don't take your garbage can off the curb 1 minute late, and which are the ones that actually do things like community activities and give back rather than just take. Because if you're going to live in a homeowners association type community, you want one where you're going to be able to live.
Right.
And I can tell you, if you're going to buy anything in Los Angeles, properties that have in the description no HOA are very few and far in between, and you got to check out that neighborhood. So I personally am,
right.
I personally am not inclined to want to live in that type of place. But had I had access to the knowledge and the groundwork of what to look for, let's just say there are a number of surprises I would not have had when I first settled into my townhouse the first year, and it might have been a more positive experience. Now, I don't want to knock homeowners associations per se, and we hear a lot of things in the news about how they crack down on veterans. Yeah, I get. I'm trying to take the high road here, and I think in some areas maybe they do serve a purpose. I'm going to take the high road here, but the thing is, if you don't know that culture, you're not going to know how to survive and thrive in it. So if a realtor showed you that they can take you by the hand and help you understand what your goals are and match you to a community that's going to serve your goals, because there are some communities that are ideal for the single person that's looking for a place to land for 3 years. There are some that are really good for people with young children. There are communities that are geared towards people 55 and up. These are some of the These are some of the subsets here. So if you don't know this part of Las Vegas housing culture, you could find yourself making some very bad decisions long distance. When you first land here, you're going to want to know where to shop, where to eat, where to do this, and all those other things. So maybe realtors could have in place checklists with deals and coupons and things like that. So if I'm going to this realtor website, I'm thinking, this is a place I really need to be. This realtor is hooking me up with pretty much everything, so I don't really need to go anywhere else. And if this realtor is offering me tons of information at the reach of a name and email address, all I have to do is fill out a form and I can download this thing. Now I've expressed that I am somebody who is interested in buying or leasing in Las Vegas. So what I'm saying here is, if I am somebody who is interested in moving to Las Vegas and I have a realtor website that's going to give me all these resources, and all I have to do is enter my name and email address and download these, then think about it. When you send me an email, I am that much more likely to read it and possibly respond to it. When you call me, I am that much more likely to take your call or call you back, because nobody answers their phone live anymore. But because I'm somebody, I've made the decision. Las Vegas is the place I'm going, but I don't know diddly squat about this place. So you open my eyes to some of the realities of what it means to live in Las Vegas and some of the decision making that goes into it. I mean, we're talking about buying and leasing townhouses and houses, but what about apartments? There are things about apartments in Las Vegas that are certainly a lot different than apartments in Pittsburgh. What you should be expecting within certain price ranges, some things regarding some of the laws around here that can work in the tenant's favor, where to go to get the best amenities such as swimming pools and fitness centers and proximity to shopping centers and things like that. Boy, I tell you, there are so many different ways you could be a resource to somebody who's already on your webpage for a reason.
I would like the how to stay away from the strip traffic all day long. In this case, that would be one of the things I would be looking up.
Yeah, exactly. So you need to. So that's also something you need to know. Or if you're the type of person who wants to go to the strip, well, where do I want to live that's going to make me proximate to the strip? So Henderson's a good place. You might want to be northwest, so you have easy access to the 95. I mean, there's a lot of different things to think about there too. So if you are a go to the strip person, you want to be as close to that as possible.
Exactly. And what it sounds like more than anything is you're leading with a solution, and you're being able to imply or at least get the need uncovered, but letting them know that, hey, at the end of the day, I'm here to help you, as opposed to hitting us over the head with, hey, buy something from me yesterday.
Right. Exactly. So again, I wanted to highlight realtors and those who lease and sell houses specifically because this question comes up a lot. Realistically, there are a million realtors and a million real estate people out there, and it's a matter of differentiation. When I decided I was going to move to Las Vegas, boy, I tell you, my biggest challenge was going through a list of like 100 and picking like 4 or 5 that I wanted to work with. And then narrowing that down further. Ultimately, it turns out that a good friend of mine has a sister who's a realtor here in Las Vegas, and that's who I ended up working with. But I knew that through ultimately just asking around. And he said, hey, I saw your Facebook post about looking for a place to live in Las Vegas. Did you know that my sister's a realtor in Summerlin? It's like, hey, sure. What's her number? Yeah. Sometimes it's something like that too. And that's another point too, which is pay attention to what people are conversing about and what seem to be the burning issues. Another way you can find out what's going to draw visitors to your web page is participate in some of these online discussion groups in your niche and find out what people keep asking about over and over again. Like there are certain, I'm going to come up with just one example. There's one leading discussion group on Facebook in the internet marketing niche. And if I were to go in there and just pay attention to what's being talked about for 2 weeks, I could easily design a course around Facebook advertising because that's what everybody asks about, and they're all looking for how not to get banned. You can make immense just off that. And so you're not going to go into that group and say, hey, guys, I created a course for you because that's going to get you kicked from the group. But now you know that there is a market out there that would, since they're talking about this all day long, desperate for the answer, would just love to pay you to answer it for them.
Exactly. And you lead the horses to water.
And if you're an agency that does ad buys and manages the advertising, then that's a hook for you too, because who wouldn't love to not have to deal with the agony of getting a Facebook ad approved? Wouldn't it be great to work with an agency that has a relationship with the Facebook advertising department that can help you through these snags so you don't have to do it? Would that be something you'd pay for? I think a lot of people are probably going to write to you saying, hey, who does Adam know?
Yeah, well, yes. Well, actually, no, we're going to tell them how to get in contact with you directly so that they don't have to write me to do that. But yeah, and I guess that's kind of the thing. Yes, I know we want to build our business, and that's our core competency, but sometimes the technical expertise of delivering what we know is wonderful. However, unless we have a person to deliver that technical expertise for our product or service, what have you, we don't get to do what we enjoy most, and there are so many additional skill sets required. Right. And this is just but one of many. So when you say things like, I want to be in business or I want to do real estate because all I want to do is, paint houses and design this all day, that's great. But you've got to have somebody to paint them for. So let me ask you this, Adam. What would you say? Well, if we had to, not that Letterman's, quote unquote around anymore, but what if we had to run a top 10, here's how the top 10 things or the top 3 things that you see for potential website owners do completely backwards, they would be in no particular order.
Okay, I'm not sure if I can come up with 10 of these, but let me.
3.
So I'm going to backtrack to some things I've said already, which is viewing the website as a goal rather than as a tool. Your goal is customers. Your goal is revenues. Your goal is profits. Your goal is to get to have fun doing the things you want to do.
Right.
Website is a tool, or a web page is a tool. However you caption that gets you there. So when I used to own a web development firm, because I used to own one up until 2010, where we were misplaced, and part of the reason I got out of doing that is because we had too many experiences with clients who viewed the website as a tool, as a goal rather than a tool. And then it would be like, okay, so we have now spent 9.5 months on this 60-day project, and the thing's finally flipping going live. You laugh, and I laugh in retrospect. So you know what I'm talking about, which is why everything I've set up until now is so valuable. So if you are attracting visitors to your web pages and you're building your list and you're making sales and you're attracting clients and you're doing things and you're getting your customers to pay for your $15,000 website dream, it doesn't matter if it takes 9 months because you already got the business.
Right.
Your landing pages, your opt-in pages, your sales pages are already doing it for you.
Right.
Just like I showed you the example of the client who, they wanted to build a website around their new brand. And he said, well, I'm also planning an event, and then I want to sell a course. I said, cool, let's do the event. Let's sell the course. Then we can talk about possibility of having you do a website. And then after they did the event, they did the course, and we got they already had a website designer on tap, so we got the designer involved in that point, and then we built the website. What's really cool about that is because the event was transcribed, a lot of the website copy was effectively done.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Transcriptionists have become my friend for sure. All right.
Yes.
So goal versus tool, we got that. What else?
Okay, another suggestion I'm going to give you is, as far as technology, understand what you need to accomplish. Find something that accomplishes it for you, and then use it. and then keep using it for as long as it continues to serve you. When it no longer serves you, then move on. Case in point, for years, and I don't want to say any names because I don't want to bring anybody down. There was a web hosting company where you could put your website and host it. For years, we recommended everybody use this company. And for many years, they were outstanding. They were an industry leader. And then this other company bought them out. And then they moved to these other crappy servers and everything went to hell. And I will tell you, I probably lost like molecules out of my heart and probably put on 10 pounds and got stressed beyond the max just on all the live chats I had with them, just arguing and yelling and screaming about why are these flipping websites down again? And you're telling me the servers are cracked? Well, 3 weeks ago when I warned you that I saw evidence that the servers were cracked, you dismissed me and said, oh no, our servers are great. And now I'm saying, I told you so. That was all wasted space because I knew by the time we got to that point, I long since knew that this was a train wreck heading right over the cliff. That website hosting company has served me up until a certain point. Now they didn't serve me anymore. Right. But while they were serving me, I wasn't worried about what every Tom, Dick, and Harry said I needed to do in terms of, sign up with this hosting company and save $9 and here's my affiliate link and all that. I kept the company I was with until they no longer served me. Then I moved on to another company, still with them, because they serve me. So as far as technology, don't get too distracted. Find out what you need, find something that does it for you, and use it.
Yeah. You're bringing up a really big, important point here because when it comes, soon as we go down that website, that we think we need a web page or whatever, comes the tool conversation and which software can do this and which one can do that, and before you know it, you've free trialed and subscription your way to a very, very hefty lot. You end up with 400 passwords. You're like, I don't know what any of this stuff does or how it's supposed to work together. I'm just, saying some of you might do that. I
right.
Just, not me, of course. But yeah.
Hey, all right. Here's the third one. The third one is be very cognizant of where you are with the 80-20 rule. 20% of the effort brings about 80% of the results. And this is another thing I've seen with the $15,000 dream websites, and I see this more commonly with membership sites that my clients get set up before they do their product launches and things like that. Is you get most of the work done, and then everything comes to a creeping halt because, we want to revisit the background shade, or can we have these pictures go just a certain way? Now, I'm going to tell you a story about this real quick, and I'll even give you the person's name. Jim Palmer, the Dream Business Coach, one of my favorite long-term clients. And I'm telling this story because he tells a story every time he introduces me to speak at his Dream Business Academy. Years ago, he subscribed to a service that where you would have video of yourself filmed, and then you put these JavaScripts on your web page, like your sales page, and it would literally hop around. And you speaking would hop around to different places on the website. Like you'd be walking them through, leading them to the sale. And he and I got into it. And this was during our web development days. So I think this was about 2008, actually. I think it's about right, 2008. And because in Internet Explorer 6, the tip of his shoe in his video was 3 pixels away from a buy button. And on all the other browsers, it landed exactly. And we went back and forth on this. And I said to him, if you could just do me one small favor, you understand that your billing clock is running here, and I really would rather take your money for things that make you money. But let me just ask you this. How many people have said that there's no way they'll possibly invest in your service unless the tip of your shoe lands exactly on that button? So if you could just do me a favor and tell me that answer, or otherwise take this up with Bill Gates so we can move on. And I got this diatribe from him. It's like, I don't know what this is about Bill Gates, but, I'm paying for this and I want my shoe to land on a button and everything else. And he and I had a phone conversation. It was mostly laughter, but it was one of those come to Jesus type calls. And the way he introduces me, he says, I was really pissed off at Adam that day. First of all, because I thought he was rude and disrespectful and wasn't treating me right as a customer. And I can see where he came from. I mean, I was using some shock therapy there, and I wasn't surprised that he found it offending to him at a certain level. And I owned that was probably going to happen. I was going to have to apologize and clean up. And that's exactly what I did. I told him I was sorry I offended him because I didn't want him to feel that way. And he says the other reason he was pissed off is because he realized I was right. Because there was nobody out there that was not going to invest in this product because his shoe was 3 millimeters away from the button in Internet Explorer 6. I mean, and at the end of the day, it's something we all laugh about. But I use that as an illustrative example. So if you're worrying about your shoe being 3 pixels away from the button, or you're worried that, the shade of your background versus the shade of your video splash screen or whatever is a few shades of magenta off or whatever, then you are on the wrong side of the 80-20 rule. And you need to ask yourself, is a customer going to just shut you down and run away because the tip of your shoe is 3 millimeters away from your button? No one has ever answered that question in the affirmative.
Not the customer that I want.
Yes.
How about that? Not the customers that I want.
And I will tell you, Jim has a booming business. I mean, he is one of the ultimate entrepreneurial success stories of anybody I've ever worked with, and he does great coaching with other entrepreneurs too. And he's had tons of websites that have made tons of money. And for a while, he even continued to use those videos. And once he stopped worrying about the tip of his shoe and the tip of the button, or whatever, he got a lot more customers in that program.
No doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt. Well, and that's one of the things that we can all get stuck on, majoring in the minors. And there are just some things that just really aren't that important. I mean, if you are running, if you have enough visitors to where moving your shoe matters, wow, you're doing some really great things in so many other places that I don't think you're going to even notice and or care. So understand what Adam is saying here. Now, I'm guessing that those that have listened for a while have gathered that you've been around the block a time or two, and you could probably save them some time from going through some of the hurdles that, we all go through when we say, hey, I know I can get online, and we think, hey, I can just get my website up this weekend and it'll be easy. And then come Sunday night sometime, we're like, oh God, this is so much more challenging. And they probably want to track you down. They're like, hey, I'm ready to put on my superhero outfit, become that superhero I know I can be, but I need a tool that's going to help communicate that. How can we find you, Adam? What can we do to get more of you?
Okay, I know we're getting near the top of our time here, but let me just interject something really quick. If you do want to do a website this weekend, get some web hosting, install WordPress, buy a theme for $50, have somebody do a logo for you on Fiverr or 99 Designs and pay $30 for it or whatever, and put this online, write a blog post, and hit publish. You now have a website.
I know, right?
Yeah, so that's the first step. Now building out the full set of content for it and the long range strategy and products and services and things like that. That's something you develop over time. But if you want a website up now, that's how you do it. And so then at least you have something. Or maybe you decide, I'm going to do a podcast. So you find somebody like like Jay Massey or somebody who's an influencer in your market. Ask them if they'll be willing to be on your podcast. Do the same thing, install WordPress, and put a blog post saying, introducing our first episode, Jay Massey, going to be next Thursday, and then share that with the world. And now you are in the podcasting business. So that's just one thing I want to put out there. Now, in terms of how we can support people, I'm going to offer your listeners something that I've been offering less and less. So it's becoming more and more exclusive, and especially since we're about to start doing a lot more things with it. If they can go to www.businesscreatorsinstitute.com, I encourage everybody to go to businesscreatorsinstitute.com, create a free entry-level account, and you're going to have access right away to a collection of recordings on things like website conversions, product launches, the use of technology to make money, copywriting. We have a lot of different modules in there already that will help you in terms of taking some of these shortcuts so you get more visitors to your web pages faster and spend less time editing and more time growing your business. Now, we're also going to be launching a whole new series of our Tuesday technology tips. They're going to be focused around how to simplify your product launches and how to get yourself to market faster. There's already, I think, about 85 of them. We recently went through them and deleted some of the old ones that are no longer relevant. But out of all those, there's still about 85 that you can start using right away. And we're going to be updating some things with the new version of Optimized Press and some of what we've learned through launching some books and things like that that are really going to be focused on, so you have a website, now what? And we're also, in addition to our continuing podcast lineup on Business Creators Radio Show, we're going to be bringing in some new experts to do some higher level trainings that are going to be available at the freemium level of the Business Creators Institute. So just go there, businesscreatorsinstitute.com, and create yourself a free membership. And when we start doing these things, which is probably going to be about mid-June, you'll be first in line.
Nice. Excellent. So, final question. There's probably, if you can remember back to those days when we'll call it cubicle land, there's probably a person or two who's in cubicle land right now.
Yep.
And thinking about, wondering, can I put on my superhero outfit? Will my business idea work? Will people want to buy it? And they're just feeling nervous, scared, afraid, all those things that we've always felt. What would you say to that, knowing what you know now? What would you say to that person?
I was in that place for 2.5 years. I started my business and I was doing the ox and the horse cart thing and all that, and sitting in a job I didn't really want. And that'd be a reason for us, when I come back next year, we could talk about that for 40 minutes. But I would say to that person, number one, if you're sitting in a cubicle in that office, that means you're already drawing a paycheck, which means if you make a mistake now, your kids will still eat. So you have that going for you first off. So you're not coming at this from a point of desperation. Point number two is you're only going to be in that cubicle, 8-9 hours a day, plus you have an hour for lunch. You can certainly do a webinar. You can certainly start putting up some products. You can certainly start building a list, because you don't have to be physically present for most of that. Like, you can even use tools where you can pre-write and then program your social media updates. And if you want to do a broadcast email to your list to invite them to hear your great new webinar guest, Jay Massey, for instance, you don't have to be there at the exact time you're going to send it. You can write it the night before and have it actually broadcast out while you're at work. And I can tell you right now that if your senior management sees and wondering why you're sending out emails 11:15, you can just explain to them the concept of pre-scheduled broadcast. Now stay out of my business. Yes. The thing is, here we are in 2015. Most companies understand that a lot of their employees are running things on the side because they are looking to capture their slice of the American dream. That's number one. Number two, they also recognize that these tools are out there so that they can be marketing while they are working for you.
Right.
So they won't, and chances are the company's using these tools as well. So they can say, well, why did Jay Massey over in accounting, why did he just send an email about his webinar? Isn't he supposed to be working? They can say, we know all about his business. He probably has Infusionsoft, probably wrote that thing last weekend. Don't worry about that. He's doing his job.
No doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
And let's just be clear. I would never, ever be in accounting.
You know what I'm talking about.
I'm just messing with you. Nonetheless, I definitely hope that everyone was listening, everyone that, you heard what you needed to hear and you're ready to take some action. So that's good. And I definitely appreciate you taking the time to be with us again, Adam.
Always my pleasure. I just hope you'll have me back in a year or so.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for you to move at the speed of instruction. So guess what we're going to do? Remember, it's being offered less and less. That means get your butt over there now to the Business Creators Institute. Get your free account while you can, because I'm guessing anything you learn would be a step in the correct direction so that you could go out there and earn a little bit more than what you're doing right now. It's been fun talking to you guys today. I definitely look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.